and style. There is, must agree with me, undoubtedly the thinnest, really thin, and the most exquisite laptop in the world. And I must say it's also the lightest. It's only about, I'm sure for all those very techie people, it's lighter than 3 pounds. I was just saying it's even thinner than my makeup kit. It's just incredible, really. But it's really just a marriage of engineering and lifestyle. I cannot, and art and style. You think, when you think about HP, it's a brand that doesn't really consider style or things that are cutting edge with use of materials, but this piece really surpasses and reinvents everything. It's really meticulously made and thought for that yields luxurious design. When you say luxurious, you're thinking about materials that are really state-of-the-art and without compromising and, of course, elevating the performance. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, is really a product inspired by minds of HP, and I can show you that this is really a line of virtuoso products that keep winning awards and keep reinventing of what technology is today. And that usually makes for something unique of us. Being obsessed with detail in every step in the process and challenging that others that cannot even be doing. So tonight's celebration really is framed by creativity, where limits are broken and of course creating becomes an art and creations are masterpieces. Okay, so I'm going to announce, not going to introduce, the man here behind, he's going to give so much inspiration. He is honored and called up here on stage, and he really embodies the mindset of what it is to have technology and art in one piece. He's really just world-renowned and putting the Philippines in the designer map of the world. He has really outstanding pieces that have been purchased by world celebrities and other, he even had pieces in the APEC. So, it's no surprise that his designs keep on inspiring and really making a footprint in the Philippines and making it in the world. But he still surprises us with other creation and breaks the standards and keeps setting a higher one. That really makes the Philippines very proud. Here's proof that his creativity has made his name become a brand of its own. So, ladies and gentlemen, before I introduce our special guest, please watch this short clip.
When I first came out here, I had a dream of an easy life.
Nice spread.
And you, sir? How's your bank experience?
Well, it's
Can I be of any personal assistance to you?
This is quite unorthodox. I have never found myself talking directly to a hotel.
I think that deserves a round of applause. Oh my goodness. And to think his furnitures last longer. I mean, that Maroon 5, he's not anymore with that Victoria's Secret model, I think. So you can really show that even in the movies, in Hollywood movies, this man has put Philippines really in the world map. Ladies and gentlemen, the man has dubbed by Time magazine as the Ratan's first great virtuoso. Please welcome Kenneth Tobantoy.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you very much to HP for inviting me. Like HP, we share the same culture of excellence and innovation. So let me share with you a bit about how I started and how I built a brand, and hoping that I can also show you how creativity can be powerful tools, not only in our businesses, but also our personal lives. So I grew up in Cebu. This is me before I had hair. You know? And my mother was a furniture designer who built the furniture in the back of our house. So I grew up with all the craftsmen and all the artisans who were making the furniture. So I built my own toys when I was small. I've always enjoyed making things. And when it was time to pick a course, I wanted my childhood to go on forever. So I wanted to take up design. But my father said there was no money in design, so he forced me to take up business. So I went to UP Diliman and I took up business. And in the middle of an accounting class, I said, this wasn't for me. So I applied to the fine arts program and I didn't make it because I couldn't draw well enough. A few years ago, the same school invited me to be their commencement speaker. So that was my best revenge. So I went to New York. I took off a year. So I started very late, actually. I took off a year. I learned how to draw, and I got into the Pratt Institute in New York, where I learned about the beauty of form and how form can change our lives. And so I went back to Cebu, and I was trying to create new designs when I saw this tree that I grew up with, and I was trying to break through and find inspiration. I saw how this tree looked so beautiful that day, because when you look through a tree, there's a composition of the trunk and the branches, and as you move closer, different patterns begin to emerge. And when you go even closer, the leaves themselves create beautiful patterns. So I wanted to make furniture like that, inspired by nature. So my first collection, about 15 years ago, was Yin and Yang. It's a very, very basic skeletal frame made out of steel, which I then wrapped with rattan skin and made a structure like this. And this was my first design in 1998. And this was a breakthrough design. It was very different because most of the pieces then were always closed. This was very open, very transparent. And when you put it on a balcony like this, it allows the light to come through. It doesn't block the view. And this is the Yin and Yang now in Greece. This is the bed that forms part of that collection. And so I began to be inspired by so many things around us that I grew up with, like baskets. So my second collection was inspired by a basket. It's called Balu. Okay? It's like sitting in a giant basket made out of steel, rattan, and here it is. And as you can see, because it's transparent, it's very open, the interior has to be as beautiful as the exterior. So the rattan is tied down by abaca wire on a very light frame of steel. And in my designs, every part is there for a purpose. There's nothing decorative about it. Everything contributes to the overall structure and beauty. Inspired by our culture, I live in Cebu, by fishing. My next collection is called the Amaya dining table. And it's made out of abaca and steel. And the press likened it to like trapping a hurricane in a cylinder. And this is the Amaya with the dimple chairs. They're called dimple because the little holes there, they're like cheeks, you know, but actually they stack. So the back legs go inside those little holes at the back. And just like that tree, it creates very, very beautiful shadows on the floor when the light hits it. A few years ago, when I started, I wanted to be known for my designs. You know, it's the whole business model, the whole furniture industry. The model was always to we were just plain manufacturers. We made furniture for different brands. So all our furniture went under different names. I wanted to change all that, and I wanted to be recognized, not only for myself, but also for our country. So I insisted that every piece that leaves had to have my name on it. It was a very tough decision. It was very unpopular then to people who were buying from the Philippines. So for about a couple of years, the factory floors were empty. No one wanted to buy anything from me. Of course, now it's paid off, it's different. Everybody now wants the name on the piece. But back then, it was different. So I created then these images of transparent. This is called the croissant sofa. It's made out of material similar to the walis dingding, the buri. And this picture became my image for the first years. So inspiration comes from everywhere. This is the next piece called Pigal. It's inspired by the human body. It's made out of a light sculptural frame of steel that's then tied down by as many as 3,000 knots using abaca rope. These are the other pieces in that collection. It's the Pigal love seat. And as you can see, when they're outside, they look like they belong to nature. They're very organic, very transparent, very open. They come from nature, and they look like they're part of nature. This is the bed, the Voyage bed. It's a very photogenic bed that, without this bed, I think I wouldn't be speaking in front of you here today, because this is the bed that Brad Pitt bought, and it takes Hollywood to be known in your own country. And so the press, of course, took it up, and I suddenly became a name here. So inspired by the culture of fishing, I designed then a collection called the Dragnet, inspired by fishing nets. And I was very happy with this, because this was also something very, very new. Most of the things that we make are made out of natural materials, but this one, I began to use fabric. So now I could experiment with color. Inspired by cathedrals, this is the Hagia collection, made now out of synthetic polymers. And this is like a cathedral. And then I began to look at fashion, and I thought to myself, what happens when you blow up a sweater? And this was the birth of this collection called Cabaret. It's like gigantic knit, like a sweater. It's like sitting, and the pattern is like a crochet pattern. This is an example of the sofa being used on a balcony. So I'm inspired by anything. Even an ordinary Coke can became the inspiration for the Lola. This one won my first major award in 2005, called the Design for Asia Award. And this award is traditionally only given to industrial products like Hyundai, Nokia, Sony, Samsung. This year they decided to award it to a rattan chair. And this is the first and the only time that Filipinos won this award. So this is how it's made. Very simple, starts out with rattan pole. We make a very, very light frame, and then we take rattan strips and we tie down that frame together. And this is the Lola collection. Now with a cushion and used outdoors. And these are the other pieces in that collection. Okay. And so in everything I do, just like HP, we try to always innovate. We try to perfect the craft and push it forward. Because we have this tradition of craft, of making things by hand. And so we're always inventing new ways of working with it. This is a collection called La Luna, designed in 2001. It's used by Google and Nike in their offices, in their headquarters. So it starts out with a frame with a shell made out of rattan core, which we then take out to create these shells. We put wooden legs on it, and then a layer of recycled foam, and then recycle the jute sack, and then the weaving starts. And after about 48 hours, not 48 years, but the craftsman has now to take these two patterns, one coarser one on the inside and a finer one on the, a coarser one on the outside and a finer one on the inside. Looks like this. And now he has to stitch both together seamlessly, like this. And this is a kind of work that can only really be done in our country. This is the La Luna. And another chair is a tilt armchair made out of wood. Those of you who know how to work with wood know how difficult it is when you have to cut it, precise angles, we have to join it. And in our factory of about 300 craftsmen, there are only 2 who are qualified to make this chair. It's like making a miniature house. This is the tilt. So in all my designs, I try to make it as complicated as possible so the Chinese can't copy it. So this is the tilt chair. And a few years ago, I wanted to design, one of the hardest things to design is a dining table, because we all have our preferences of table surfaces. It's either made out of wood, or stone, or glass. And when you try to design the base, when you put chairs around it, it gets covered up anyway. So I wanted to play with the edge, taking an old book as inspiration. I took wood veneers, laminated them on top, one on top of the other, to create edges like an old book. And this became the edge of a table. This collection is called a parchment, mounted now on stainless steel legs, and these are the chairs. The chairs look like bound manuscripts. And the covers are removable, they're washable, and these are the cabinets, the parchment cabinets. They look like sheets of paper that are stacked, placed inside this wooden case. Inspiration comes from everywhere, from blades of grass, came the Yoda chair, bowl of noodles, became the noodle chair. Okay. This is my own version of sheep, Harry in its natural habitat now. Yeah. So, even your dim sum steamers became dim sum coffee tables. Yeah. So this is the heart of innovation, always trying to look for inspiration. This is a flower, taking cues from fashion. This is the Bloom chair. And so when people buy furniture from the Philippines, they always buy something that's woven, something that's handmade, but never something like this, like an upholstered, product. This was like making a gown. And this was very, very new for us because all our craftsmen were trained to work with, wood, rattan, and we had to open up a whole new division. Just people who was learning to sew. And in fact, it was so difficult that only guys could do this kind of work. It take a lot of strength to pull this together. It's really like making gowns. And so this is the Bloom collection. This is the leaf, And so we were always redefining what Filipino furniture was by making all these different collections that people never expected. So inspired by Ferris wheels. This is the collection called the Papillon. It's like it's like a hammock, very comfortable. This is the Sydney Opera House, for dogs. And a few years ago, I wanted to exhibit in this exhibition. The Milan exhibition is the most prestigious in the world. It's very difficult to even exhibit here. And when they learned that I was from the Philippines, I applied here. They wanted to put me up on the third floor, close to some bathroom. It was very difficult to convince them to give me a good space. So I asked them. I said, if I presented something that's really different, like a car made out of bamboo, would you give me a better space? They said, yeah, okay. So I had only a few months to work with this. I started to design shells, trying to make really a car made out of bamboo and carbon fiber, and I did it. This was the prototype which we sent to Milan, and they put me right in front of the building when you come in. And this paved the way. This is called the Phoenix. This paved the way for the Philippine for us and for other Filipino companies. And up till today, we still exhibit in Milan. We get fairly good space there. This is the Phoenix. This was just a fun project that got a lot of coverage actually, and a lot of books. This is the team that built it. So this is again the design that's always out of the box, very different, and even became a cover of a very important book called Post-Petroleum Design, which was just published a few months ago, published in New York. It was an ad for one of the biggest banks in Belgium called "Tomorrow is What We Make It." And this is one of the ads. design other things, not just furniture. This is a bicycle that I'm working on now. It's a bamboo bicycle. It's like a bull or a carabao. This is a rendering. These are some of the prototypes that we're still working on. This is the actual thing. Trying to reinvent what bamboo bicycles, because most bamboo bicycles just look like steel bicycles, but they replace it with bamboo. So I wanted to create a whole different genre. Designed for Tumi, this bag made out of ballistic nylon and bamboo. This is the Iron Man medals. This is the first one. Yeah, this is another tricycle called the Eclipse. This is a luxury tricycle. It has cup holders, GPS, and yeah, this is the trike. See, it has covers actually for the sides, and this is the tricycle in Paris. So, yeah, so these are just in closing. There's some of the projects that we do around the world. This is the Nobu in Las Vegas. This is the Trump. Yeah, Trump. I know that's a bad name today. This is the Trump Club, and this is the Four Seasons in Dubai. This is a hotel in Switzerland, and so this is in Portugal, one of the winners in design hotels. This is in Greece. Just showing you a few of the more than 100 projects. So we bring the Philippines everywhere in all these properties. This one is a hotel in Costa Rica, and these are some of the shows which we show around the world. Many of these shows, we're the only Filipino company, always waving the Filipino flag. This is Paris, and of course, in closing, this is my design for the APEC, the last APEC. This was the leaders' table. And there, we created something very, just to share with you a little story. When we made this, the president never saw it. And when he saw this, he was shocked because he said, there are no flowers. And so a few hours just before APEC, he orders that there be flowers on the table. And I said, no, we can't have flowers. It should be simple, because that's our country. It's humble, it's simple, and this is inspired by the rice terraces, and we just grass. And so we had little things. We had these little sculptures of grass. These are the chairs. Yeah, anyway, so we had a stand down, with the president a few hours before, and I insisted that there be no flowers. Keep it as simple. And all the leaders were very impressed with it, because it's one of the most beautiful, I think, APEC settings that they ever attended. And this was on the night itself. So we had these little sculptures, this little bahay kubo, and just grass on the tables. Yeah, this was the actual event, and this is the last slide. This is the actual. So yeah, that's the end of my presentation. And thank you so much again. And I hope I was able to show you how HP and our brands, how we've always believed in that culture of innovation, of excellence, of always thinking out of the box in everything that we do. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Another round of applause for the Lieutenant Governor. Wow. I love you even more.